5 and 6, 7. Continue 7, 6, 7. Okay, so that is a value, is a maximum range. Between this range, you can use anything. Let's say 35, 35. You can just use 35, 35. Can we store? 35, 35, yes. So this is a short. Then you can print. So before using the data type, you need to know the range actually. So if you know the range exactly, you will know exactly which data type is apt for your data. And then by the short. And what is the next one? Longer. Long is for very big value. I can say long. L equal to, can put very long data type. So I can say very large number. Semicolon. And then trying to print L equal L. Okay, now just observe this. When I use integer, when I use byte, when I use short, there is no syntax error. But when you create a long variable, when you create a variable with a long data type, after specifying some data here, it is giving some error. The literal of type int is out of range. Okay, so whenever you specify the value in the long variable, you have to write something called literal. Means what? At the end of the value, we can simply say lowercase l or uppercase L. This is mandatory. Okay? Not for every data type, especially for long and float. So for these two data types, we have to add literal, which is representing with L. Okay? It can be lowercase like this, or it can be uppercase. Okay, now I have assigned some data. You can put any data, any size, like say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, maximum number. So now I'm printing the long. Just observe this, what will happen. So when I run this, see 125 is a BY value, so 125 is got printed. Then 3535 is got printed, which is short data type. And now when you come to the long, this is actual value. Actual value is all exactly this printed. This L will not print that because this is a symbol which is representing a literal. Okay, and especially for long and float. So these two particular data types, we have to specify literal. Okay, literal in the sense because it is a long data type, you have to say L. If it is a float data type, then you have to say F. That's called literal. Okay. So these are all numeric data types. Without decimals, we can use either byte, short, long or int. Right. Now, let us see the decimal numbers. Decimal numbers. And in the decimal, we have two data types. Decimal numbers, we have two data types. Float, double. Float and double. Okay, float is a smaller, double is a bigger number. Float means it is allowed 7 decimals. Double is allowed 15 decimals. Okay, now first let us start with the float. Float, let's create one variable called item price as a 15.5 and just created one variable. Now just observe, when I assign some data to the variable, it is giving an error. What it is expecting? It is expecting cannot convert from double to float. So this is actually decimal number we are trying to store in a float variable. So what we need to do is we have to specify the literal. It can be lowercase f or it can be uppercase f. Anything is fine. Okay, and then you can print the value. You can directly print the item underscore price. Okay, now we can see 15.5 I have given and same thing is got printed. Okay, now if you have more numbers, like more decimal numbers, okay, then you can use double as a dbl equal to, and I can say bigger decimal number like this. And then you can, here there is no literal required, you can directly print it, let's say dbl. So for double, we don't need any literal, we can directly find. So this is mostly we used, double, run as Java application. So now we got the value exactly, how much value we have stored, we got it. So the literals we have to add only for two data types. One is for long. So here literal is needed. And also for float data type also we need to add literal. Okay, here F is F or small f, anything is fine. But here for long, use either capital L or small l. At the end of the value, you have to specify this. So these two are the decimal numbers. And now let us see the character. So char is another data type. So to representing the single character, we use char data type. You can see char. C is already used, so I'm just giving some different name. There's a grade. And single characters we always keep inside the single quotations. Single character always represent within the single quotations. So multiple characters if you want to store, then what you will do? If you want to store multiple characters, what you will do? We go with string. Okay, so string can store multiple characters, right? String, non-primitive type. So I can just print grade. So this is simple character data type. So whatever value we have assigned here, we just printed. Only one single character is allowed. Suppose if you want to store multiple characters, then we have to use string. String, suppose name equal to, let's say John. So multiple characters, whenever you specify, keep inside the double quotations. Okay, that is representing the string. So strings will represent with the double quotations. String is a non-primitive type. Okay, then you can see the difference also. You can see normal primitive types appear in the different color and the string is appear in a different color. In the string, S is the uppercase character. And rest of all data types, material data types start with the lowercase characters. Now you can directly print name. See name. So if you have a single character, keep in the single quotation and use char data type. If you have a multiple characters, then keep inside the double quotations and use string data type. So now we got a John. Okay. Now, in the string, there are multiple combinations which we have. In the next example, okay, so let me show you here itself. So in the multiple combinations, let me write something here. You guys can tell me whether it is correct way of writing or not. So we have seen char data type and also we have seen string data type. So we understood this. Char means single character which should keep inside the single quotation. String means we should keep inside the double quotations, multiple characters, right? Now observe this. In char variable, ch equal to, in the single quotations, I'm writing ABC. Is it valid or not? Is the statement valid or not? Char ch equal to ABC. This is invalid. This is invalid. Why it is invalid? Because you are trying to store multiple characters and we put in the single quotation. That itself is a mistake and type is what? Char. So this is invalid. We cannot. Okay, suppose if you write like this, string ch equal to ABC. Is it valid or not? String ch equal to ABC. Valid or not? It is still invalid. Why? Even though this variable can hold string, but we use single quotations, right? If you represent multiple characters, they should be in the double quotations. So single quotations not allowed. So this is also invalid statement. This is also invalid. Okay. Now observe this one. String ch equal to A. Is it valid or not? String ch. Ch is a string variable, but I'm trying to store a character. So this is also invalid. Why? Because we put in the single quotations. Single quotations is always representing the character. So this is also invalid. Now observe this. String ch equal to double quotes k. Is it valid or not? Yes, this is valid. Because why? We define the variable as a string and we use double quotations. Within the double quotations, you can have a single character or multiple character, it doesn't matter. It will treat it as a string. Okay? As soon as you put string type and double quotations, that is over. You can put either single character or multiple characters, doesn't matter. So now string ch contains one single character. So this is valid statement. So now you understood the difference between character and string. Character means always single character with single quotations. String means always having double quotations, but it can have single or multiple characters. Okay, that is the difference. Okay, now let us see Boolean type. Boolean. Boolean means what? It can accept only true or false. I say Boolean. To say bool, or I can say bl, some variable name equal to true. True or false, only two values are accepted. So I can just print the bl. Right? So now if I just observe, so this will print the bl value which is true. Which is true. Now when I make it as a false, so then it will bring false. So only true or false allowed. So Boolean variable allows only true or false. We can't store anything else, and moreover we should not put the double quotations. Remember this. Okay, now let me just give you some example. You guys can tell me whether it's valid or not. Here I am creating a Boolean value. Boolean. So let me just comment this. So Boolean BL equal to true. Is it valid or not? It is not valid. Why? Because we put this true in the double quotations. So as soon as you put this in the double quotations, that will be treated as what? String. So then you should specify the data type as a string. Then only allowed. Okay, so this is not valid. So this is not valid. Now, I'll write something like this. Boolean BL equal to double quotation false. Is it valid or not? This is also not valid. Not well, because we put in the double quotations. As soon as you put that in the double quotations, which is stated as a string, that we cannot store in the Boolean variable. So this is clear. Now observe this. String BL equal to true. Is it valid or not? String BL equal to. This is also not valid because this is a Boolean data. Because we do not put in the double quotations. But the variable is what? String. Right? So this is also not valid. This is also not valid. Right? So string BL equal to true or false and not valid. Now, string BL equal to true. Is it valid or not? String BL equal to true, valid or not? Obviously, it is valid because we put in the double quotations. As soon as you put in the double quotations, that will be treated as a string. So your data type is also string. So allowed. This is valid. Okay, so in the Boolean variable, I can store only true or false. You should not put double quotations. This is the syntax. Okay, so this is all about Boolean data type. So we have discussed all these data types: byte to short, int to long, float to double, char, and then Boolean. So now is this clear, everyone? So how to work with the primitive data types? String is also a very huge concept. In the coming sessions, we will discuss more about strings. So in upcoming sessions, you will understand exactly where we will use all these data types. In almost in every programming examples, in every solution, we will use all these data types. Okay? So we are just discussing the concept here. So once you understand the concept, you will exactly know where exactly we apply this. So what is the main purpose of creating the variables? What is the purpose of creating the variables? Why we need to create the variables? Yes, to store the data. If you want to store some data, we have to create a variables. And what is the use of data types? Why we need to use data types? Because before storing the data in a variable, we have to specify the data type. Otherwise, Java is not allowed. So data types must be specified before creating the variables. So once you have data in the variables, we can operate the data. By using the data, by using the variables, we can perform various types of operations. And then we have to know operators. So there are different type of operators are in Java. In the next class, I will discuss more about operators. Then you will exactly know where exactly we use these data types. So whatever topics we are discussing here, concept-wise, everything we will use in the applications. Because slowly you will understand it, sir. Okay. So once you start giving more number of examples, you will understand exactly where you will use all these concepts. So Boolean is basically we use to store the status. For example, let us say, simple example I will give you, you can understand where exactly we use a Boolean value. So most of the times to maintain the flag kind of thing, status kind of thing, we will use a Boolean data type. For example, let's say I have some numbers in my array. Okay, let's say I have different numbers here. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I want to find this particular number 3 is present in this array or not. Okay, I want to check this particular number is present in this array or not. So then what you will do? First you will compare with the first number. Not matched. So initially you will take one flag. Let's say this is a Boolean variable. Let's say false. Initially it is a false. Representing not found. Okay. So let's say 3 matching with 1. Matched or not? No, not matching. Then we will compare the 2. Not matching. Now comparing with 3. Now here it is matched. As soon as it is matched, then we'll make this flag value is equal to true. So here we will maintain this Boolean variable to representing some status. Okay, some status. Suppose I am doing some operation. Okay, it is in progress. So before starting this operation, okay, the status will be false. And after the completion of this operation, I'll make the status is true. So that is representing whether my process is started or not or completed or not. So to represent that, we can use a Boolean variable. So like this, there are many scenarios. We will try to use this Boolean variable. You will understand. Definitely you will understand this. I will show you so many examples in coming sessions. Okay. So where we can use byte data type. So whenever you want to store number which is between -127 and 128, you can use byte. So there is no rule like you have to use only byte here, you have to use only integer here, you have to use only float here. Not like that. It is up to you. Depends on your own requirement. You can create any number of variables, any data type you can use. So there is no specific reason to use byte data type. Okay, if you have small number, you can use byte data type, no problem. And if you have little bit bigger number, then you can go with the shorter, or little more bigger, then you can go with the int, or more larger number, then you can go with the long. It depends upon the data size you have. Accordingly, you have to choose the right data type. So memory allocation is not that much important because we already discussed about the ranges, right? So this is a range actually. So I put some table, right? So here, you can just remember this table. Not that much important, just understand. Every data type is having some range or some size. So whenever you create a 1 byte, right? So it is allocated some memory. In that memory, you can store the number between this range. So when I say 2 bytes of memory is allocated for short variable, and you can store this much of data. Similarly, when I create an integer variable, 4 bytes of memory is allocated and this much of number you can store. So for every data type, there is a size. This much of size the memory is allocated for that particular variable. Okay, literal is a simple or a character which we need to add after the data. So for example, if I look at this, especially for float and the long, right? So I can see this is called literal. So whatever the character we are adding at the end of the value, normally we call as a literal. That is just a terminology, Java perspective. Okay. And for the float also, we use something called EF. That is a literal. It can be lowercase or it can be uppercase. So this is designed by Java itself. Okay, so why they have put this literal for only float and for long? We don't know exact reason for. So why they have put like this? Okay. So we're just following as per Java instructions. This is just a terminology case, so we don't fix the meaning for this. Literal is just a terminology. We use this literal word in many places in multiple perspectives. Here we can just call it as a literal, that's it. So string literal is different, okay? So we'll discuss that. Literal is the total meaning is totally different. So the same meaning should not apply in everywhere. So here the literal means just a one character which we need to add after the value. And the same literal keyword we will use in the different places for different meanings. So string literal is totally different than this one. So we'll again discuss that later, not related to this topic. Okay, so everyone is understood what is variable, what is the data type and all those things. Okay, now at last I will show you a small thing here and try to understand. Very, very important interview perspective, which is most important. Okay, let's try to understand this. So if you take any programming language, okay, it can be either statically programming language or dynamically programming. Just a moment, don't write anything. Okay. So before discussing that, I have one question: difference between variable and constant. Variable can hold the data. Okay. And suppose in future if you don't want to change the data. So normally when you create a variable, see int a equal to 100. So a is a variable which can hold the data, right? Suppose in future if you don't want to change the data, so by default the value of the variable can always change. So later if you want to change a value to 200, you can make it as a 200. After that if you want to make it 300, you can make it after like this. Every time the value of the variable can always change. That is a default behavior. Okay, but sometimes in your programming, you don't want to change the value every time. So whatever value initially you have assigned, that is always fixed value. You don't want to change that value. Okay, in those cases what you will do is, you will additionally add one keyword here, like final. Or in some other programming languages, you will have one more keyword called constant, like this. So when you have this keyword in front of the data type, what will happen? This value we cannot change in future. So that variable is not allowed to change the value in future. In that case, we can call it as a constant variable. Okay? Constant variable. So if the value keeps changing for the variable, that is just a normal variable. And if you are not able to change the value of the variable, that is called constant variable. Okay, now you understood what is variable, and constant is a keyword actually that is belongs to the variable. If the values keeps changing, it's just normal variable, default behavior. But if you are not changing this value, I don't want to allow to change this value in future, I can make this variable as a constant. In Java, we can use something called final. So then this variable is a constant variable. Means we cannot change the value at any point of. So that is the meaning. Okay, so shall we proceed? The last simple, another 2 minutes simple concept which we have, very important for interview perspective. So let us try to understand. Any other questions we will discuss later. Right. So with programming, if you take Java or Python or C#, whatever programming language you take, Okay, and there are two kinds of programming languages. Statically typed programming language, dynamically typed programming language. Observe very carefully, I'll tell you what it is. Java is statically typed programming language. Java is a statically typed programming language. Python is a dynamically typed programming language. Python is a dynamically typed programming language. So what is this? You need to first understand what is statically typed, what is dynamically typed. This topic is more related to variables and data types. So that's the reason I'm just covering this part. And into perspective, most important, Java is a statically typed programming language. Python is a dynamically typed programming language. So let's try to understand what it is. With some examples, I'll try to explain. Let us say int x equal to 100. I have created one integer variable x and I have stored 100 into x. Okay. Now, x is a integer type of variable so that I can store number. Right? Now, in x, I'll try to change the value of x. Initially 100, now I want to become welcome. Is it possible or not in Java? As per your understanding, just tell me, is it possible or not in Java? X is integer 100, then I'm saying x equal to welcome. Suppose x equal to 200 is possible or not? This is possible or not? It is possible. Why? Because here is 100 and here also 200. Both are numbers, so the value we can always change it. But instead of 200, when you put welcome here, this is not allowed. In Java, it is not allowed. Why it is not allowed? Because x is already created with the integer type of data. Integer type of data type. So integer data type we already applied for this x variable. So we cannot change the data type. We can change the value, but we cannot change the data type. Initially it is integer. Now as soon as you put the value in the double quotation, it is a string. So it is not allowed. Okay, it is not allowed. This is not allowed. But in Python, it is allowed. In Python, it is allowed. It is Python, it is allowed. So, why it is allowed? Because in Python, we are not going to specify any data types. In Python, data types already there. But we no need to specify the data types explicitly. That means, you can directly write x equal to 100. So whenever you say x equal to 100, x will be automatically treated as an integer. X will automatically treated as an integer. As per Python, I'm talking about. Okay, you no need to write the data type explicitly. You simply can say x equal to 100, so x will be treated as integer. Now immediately when you say x equal to welcome, now what happens? Now x will be treated as a string. X will be treated as a string so that it can also hold string value. So this is possible in Python. So that is the reason it is dynamically typed programming language. In Java, it is statically typed programming language. So once you create a variable with one data type, you cannot store any other data type in the same variable. This is not allowed in Java. But in Python, it is allowed. Why? Because you no need to explicitly specify the data type, that is one thing. And whenever you change the value or data type anything, obviously it will be converted. So initially here x is integer, here x is a string. Okay, so this is dynamically typed programming language. This is one feature. Dynamically programming language, statically programming language. So in statically typed programming language, whatever data type we specify the variable, same data we have to add. You can change the value, but the same data value we have to add. But in Python, we can add any type of data. So in Java, we have to specify the data type. But in Python, we don't need to specify the data type. So based on the data which we have added, accordingly, the data type is automatically assigned to the variable. So here if you say string here, so now x is a string variable. Okay, so this is a feature actually. So the Python is a dynamically typed programming language. Java is a statically typed programming language. So guys, you understood the difference. Statically typed programming language, dynamically typed programming language. Okay, just remember this point. Okay, so in the next class, we will discuss some more things. So we will stop it here. So after 1 or 2 sessions, then I will start giving assignments. So till that time, so you can just practice class demos, whatever I have given. And you can try your own also. So based on our examples, you can just try your own examples. And once you complete operations, conditional statement, looping statements and everything, then we'll start giving some assignments. Because before starting assignment, you need to know some basic concepts. You have to be clear more about them. So then you can start doing the assignments. Okay? So just practice these class examples for today's session, tomorrow and today. And tomorrow we'll continue that. Okay? So I'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow's session.